Hello, everybody, and welcome to our partner showcase, What's New in 2025, JAWS, ZoomText, and Fusion. As you guys are making your way in, we will have a poll that we're going to launch, and it just gives us a little bit of an idea about the background of the people who are attending our webinars, a little bit about you so that our esteemed hosts can know, and that helps them for some of their future partner showcases with us. So I will go ahead and try to launch one of those polls for you guys. And then once we get some of the results, we will get started. And what I'll also do with you guys is I'll share those results with our hosts. And so you guys know a little bit about who you're coming to this webinar with. And then we will go over some of the ground rules of this webinar. And we will go on from there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. And just so you guys know, you'll also see some of the results on your screen here from my computer. We have, the first question is, what is your job title? We have about 54% who are teachers of visually impaired or TSVIs. We have some orientation and mobility specialists, some vision rehabilitation specialists, therapists, or teachers, some assistive technology specialists, about 38%, and we also have some college faculty or state administration and some others. A lot of you guys are joining us from the Southeast. That's about 33%. About 21% are coming with us from the Northeast, and we have some from the Northwest, some from the Southwest, and just a small percentage with us from the Midwest. So welcome. We are super excited to have you today. And how did you hear about our webinar? A lot of you guys heard about this webinar from our email, our APH email, and others heard from the website. And we did have some who signed up from social media. So we're very excited about that. I do want to go over some ground rules with you guys today about this webinar. The first thing is that this will not be a webinar that offers ACV REP credits. So we will not be offering that. There will be no opening and closing code, but nonetheless, you still will learn a lot from our hosts. They will also have closed captioning in this webinar. So if you need that, that is available for you. And of course, if you have any questions throughout this webinar, I would love for you guys to type that in the chat, and then we will address that at the end of this webinar. So whatever that is, if you have any burning questions, they will be addressed. So I do want to introduce you guys to our host today. I'm having a little bit of somewhat technical difficulties in some ways. But our host today is Elizabeth Whitaker, and she is currently a product manager in user education and outreach at Vispero. Her team creates product demonstrations and training content so that users can access the resources that they need to increase productivity and proficiency. And with over 20 years of experience working directly with individuals who are blind or low vision, Elizabeth has taught a wealth of assistive technology tools in both public and private organizations. She has also developed and implemented various accessibility initiatives and vocational programs for state government before coming to Vispero. And Elizabeth also managed the technology department at the Division of Services for the Blind in Arkansas, and she holds a master's in English from Southern New Hampshire University. So welcome, Liz. We're super excited to have you and super excited to see what exactly you have in store for us today. So let's get started.
All right. Thank you so much, Amanda, and thank you for having me here. It's great to be here with all of you. Thank you for joining us. And of course, we are here to talk about the new features and enhancements in JAWS, ZoomText, and Fusion 2025. Now, we released 2025 back in October, and we call those major releases because that's when the numbers change. That's when it changes from 2024 to 2025 and next October 2026 and so forth. And we do release new features, of course, with those major releases, but about every 8 weeks or so, we also release an update. So today, in fact, we just released an update. It's our December update to 2025. And so we have been integrating new features throughout the year into those updates, sometimes major features. In fact, a good example of that was earlier this year in the March update of 2024, we released Picture Smart AI. So you just never know what we're going to push out with the next update. So, um, stay tuned and keep up with our training content, and we will keep you informed. So let's talk about what we're going to cover today. We have several things that we're going to talk about, and I want to show you most of these features. So I'm going to start out by giving you a little bit of information about ZoomText. We have made a couple of changes to our multi-monitor mode. Then we're going to talk about FS Companion, which is a new AI tool for learning JAWS, ZoomText, and other applications such as Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. I'm going to tell you about a new automatic language detection setting and why that's important and how you can go turn it on. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about navigation options or navigation commands for ePub books. That's something we get a lot of questions about is how do I access ePub? So we're going to talk about that. And then finally, and these are features that we have just added, or actually enhancements we've just added in this new December update. We're going to talk about a couple of enhancements to Convenient OCR and Picture Smart AI. So a lot to cover, but don't worry, I'll give you resources and you'll definitely have an opportunity to ask questions. And with that, I'm just going to get started. So with ZoomText, we have something called multi-monitor mode. This is where you can use multiple monitors and access content across those monitors. Now, there are a couple of settings that were previously on by default. One of those is actually, let's see, one of those settings is called keep the pointer from crossing the border. And this is a setting that when it's turned on, as you move your mouse from one monitor to another, from the content on one to content on the other, there's a short delay, and you can actually set the length of that delay, but there's a short delay that lets you know two things. It lets you know you're moving from the content on one monitor to another, and it also lets you know where the mouse is. It helps you find the mouse. So that was one setting that was previously on by default. The other is called play sound cues when the pointer touches and crosses the border. So this is an artificial border that we're talking about, but when you navigate, when you move your mouse, you will hear a sound. All right, so those two settings were on by default. We have now, due to user feedback, we've now turned them off by default. And what happens now is you don't hear the sound as you're moving your mouse. It's just a smooth navigation from the content on one monitor to the content on the next. And so that is now the default behavior when you run ZoomText. However, if you do want to turn those back on, and some people really like those settings, you can do that. You'll need to go to the magnifier toolbar tab and then go to the window button and go to settings. And then you will find the multiple monitor options dialog box. And in this dialog box, there's actually a button called multiple monitor options. So you'll click that button and then you'll select the settings. You can turn both on, or you can turn one on, however you prefer, the border crossing and the sound settings. And then you click OK. And from there on, those settings will be turned on. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. That was one of the changes. If that is something that you use in ZoomText or any of your students use, and they're used to it being on, then, when you run ZoomText, it would be off. So I just wanted to let you know how to turn that back on. All right. Another new feature, and actually this is brand new to ZoomText as of today, is our feature called FS Companion. Now, I'm going to show this to you here in just a minute pertaining to JAWS, but it works the same in ZoomText, and we'll talk through this, but you can actually use this in ZoomText. So FS Companion is your AI assistant. And before we get to this, Amanda, did we need to talk about the poll question?
Oh,
Sorry about that.
yes. So we have a poll question,
Okay.
no worries. This question has to do with FS Companion, which Liz is about to go over, and she just wants to know, have you tried the new FS Companion feature in JAWS? And your options are yes or no. And we'll give you just a little bit to answer that.
Yeah, and I'll talk about this here in a minute, of course, but we did implement this feature in JAWS back in October, and now it's in ZoomText. So you may have tried it out, or you may have seen it at a couple of conferences. You may have seen it in action.
Well, I'm excited to hear a little bit about some of the benefits of FS Companion and how it helps you out.
Yeah, this is great. It's great for anyone wanting to learn JAWS or just look something up or ZoomText, or for teachers, for any of you out there who are teaching. This is going to be a very valuable tool for you and your students.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. So any last minute stragglers, if you want to say yes or no, go ahead. And it looks like, have you tried the new FS Companion feature in JAWS? And about 24% of people said that they have, but you have about 76% of people who said that they have not.
Okay. All right. Well, let's show you what it is and give you an opportunity to check it out. All right. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to share JAWS here, of course.
Screen sharing meeting controls.
All right. All right. So FS Companion is an AI assistant that gives you the opportunity to ask questions about JAWS, if you're in JAWS, or if you're using ZoomText, about ZoomText, or you can also ask questions about Office products like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so forth. We have trained it on the ZoomText and JAWS Help, the basic training, some of our training content, as well as Microsoft content. And of course, we continue to train it on our training content. We continue to add more to it every day. So this feature is only going to evolve. All right, so let me just show you how it works. Now, if you're in ZoomText, you're going to either go to Help and then FS Companion, or you're going to click the blue sparkle button in the upper right of the toolbar. In JAWS, you can go to Help and Web Services, or there is a handy keyboard command, which is Insert Space or Caps Lock Space if you're in laptop layout, followed by F1.
Hello there. I'm excited to help you learn more about JAWS.
All right, I'm going to slow this down
Slower.
slightly. So, and the other way to get there, if you have not upgraded to 2025 yet, the other way to get there is to go to your web browser and type in fscompanion.ai. fscompanion.ai. So again, this was introduced in JAWS back in October when 2025 is released. And then now, as of today, we have updated JAWS ZoomText and Fusion for our December update to 2025. And so it is now integrated into ZoomText. All right, so the first thing that happens here now, as a JAWS user, when we navigate here, we are taken to what we call the results viewer. This is the viewer that comes up when we're accessing hotkey lists and other things in JAWS. And the reason that's important to know is because if you press escape here, it will take you out of FS Companion. This is for JAWS. It'll take you out of FS Companion. So the first thing that happened is it took me to a field where I can type in a question. Now, that's probably what you're going to do when you open FS Companion, but before we actually do that, I just want to explore this page a little bit just to show you what you'll find here. You won't need to do this when you're accessing it, but So I am going to turn forms mode off. I'm going to press caps lock semicolon, or I can press the plus key on my numpad here.
Virtual PC cursor.
So we can navigate this like a web page. Of course, if you're using the ZoomText, you can use your mouse. You can navigate. If we're using JAWS, we're going to use our arrow keys and commands like H for heading, or our up and down arrow keys.
Heading level 1 conversation with FS Companion Beta.
All right, so it's telling us we're having a conversation here. Now it does say FS Companion Beta. That's because, it's still brand new, and we are constantly adding information to it. So for right now, it's still considered beta, but it is, fully working here. So
Switch to dark mode button.
you do have an option here for switching to dark mode for those of you with vision who may need dark mode.
New conversation button.
This new conversation button is, so let's say we are asking FS Companion questions about JAWS or ZoomText, and then we want to switch over and ask it questions about Outlook, for example, or Word. We can do that. We could do that in the same conversation, but you may want to separate those conversations. So this is where you would go to do that. Now, when you start a new conversation, the one that you were previously having will go away. So, but you can copy and paste your information. We'll talk about that.
Hello there. I'm excited to help you learn more about JAWS. Here are some things to know about our conversation.
All right, so here is just some information about how you can navigate using your letter H for heading and your arrow keys and things like that. And then also how to use the new conversation button. And also keep in mind that as with all AI tools right now, you will encounter sometimes what we call hallucinations. And so that's where sometimes it might come back with, some incorrect information. That doesn't happen often, but just know that that could happen. And again, that's just something that we encounter with AI right now.
Type your question here, edit.
All right, so I'm going to go back to this edit field. So let's ask it a JAWS question. So if you're doing this with ZoomText, you could ask it questions like, what is the keyboard command to increase magnification? Or you can ask it, how do I use App Reader? What is App Reader? So just a bunch of questions about ZoomText, a lot of questions about JAWS. I'm going to type in, how do I change the voice rate?
How do I change the voice rate? Type your question here, edit.
Okay, and it's going out there and getting that information.
To change the voice rate in JAWS, you can either temporarily or permanently adjust it. Here are the steps. Temporarily change voice rate. Bullet. Increase voice rate. Press Alt plus Control plus page up.
So I press Control to stop it there. But so as you can hear, it's going to read us some instructions. Now we can access that, like for example, one line at a time or word at a time. But for right now, I could just listen to it as it reads that to me. Its focus is still here in the edit field. So I could type another question. So I asked it about voice rate. What if I want to know how to adjust the volume? I'll type that in.
How do I adjust the volume? Type your question here, edit.
And we'll get an answer.
To adjust the volume in JAWS, you can use the following commands.
So again, it's going to come back, it's going to read all those commands to me. So this is a great way to learn how to use JAWS. It's a great way to learn how to use ZoomText. It's a great way to look up keyboard commands or ask how to perform certain tasks. Now, let's say I want to read the conversation that we're having. I need to exit forms mode. I need to turn the virtual PC cursor back on. So I'm going to press either plus on the numpad, or in this case, I'm going to press caps lock semicolon.
Blank.
And again, if you press escape, it will take you out of FS Companion. I know that's often how I will exit forms mode, but you can't do that here. All right, so from here, I can press the letter H to navigate by heading.
Wrapping to top. Conversation with FS Companion Beta heading level 1.
Now these questions here that I've typed are
how do I change the voice rate? Heading level 2.
They're marked by heading. So I can use the letter H. It read that first question to me, and then I can down arrow to read the answer.
To change the voice rate in JAWS, you can either temporarily or permanently adjust it. Here are the steps.
And so if I keep going, it's going to read me the keyboard commands. I can press H again to navigate to the next question.
How do I adjust the volume? Heading level 2. To adjust the volume.
And so I can read the questions that way. I really like this being in the results viewer for several different reasons. Number one, I could copy and paste it. I could do that from the website as well. I could also leave it open here and go do exactly what it is that I've asked it. How do I do this? When I'm finished, I can press escape, but let's not do that just yet. I want to ask it an office question. All right, so I've asked it a couple JAWS questions. Now I want to use that new conversation button to ask it questions about Outlook. So I'm going to press the letter B.
Provide feedback on this response button.
Oh, and that's another thing. Your responses, for each response, you can provide feedback. And so feel free to do that. That's something that we value, that we want to know. We want your feedback. So feel free to provide feedback on the responses that you get. So for each response, you can provide feedback.
Send message button. Wrapping to top. Switch to dark mode button. New conversation button.
So there's our new conversation button. I'll press enter.
New conversation button. Type your question here, edit.
All right, it put me right there in that edit box and I can type in a question. So let's type in an Outlook question. How do I create a signature in Outlook?
Quest Outlook. Question
Okay.
blank. How do I create a signature in Outlook?
Give it a moment here. This one's taken a bit.
To create a signature in Outlook using JAWS, follow these steps. 1. Open Outlook options. White bullet. Press Alt plus F, comma, then T, comma, and M, period. This opens the Outlook options window with the focus on the mail category.
All right, so I want to point out a few things here. Now, when we were asking FS Companion questions about JAWS, and it's the same thing with ZoomText, it knows what product you're using. So if you're accessing it from JAWS, it knows you're using JAWS. And so when I asked it, how do I change the voice rate, it automatically gave me instructions for JAWS. Just like now, when I asked it about how do I create a signature in Outlook, it automatically gave me that information about Outlook. Now you notice here, it's giving us keyboard commands. So oftentimes, if you look something up on the internet, you go there and you type in, how do I create a signature in Outlook? It's going to give you the answer from a mouse user perspective. It's going to tell you to, click on the 3 dots or the hamburger icon, or it's going to tell you to click on options or, things like that. So here you're going to get all the keyboard commands. So I just wanted to point that out. And again, we could turn on our virtual PC cursor and I could navigate here using the letter H.
Wrapping to top. How do I create a signature in Outlook? Heading level 2.
And I could read these instructions.
To create a signature in Outlook,
and again, I could just leave this open, navigate over to Outlook and follow these instructions. So that is how we use FS Companion. Try it out, give us feedback, and let us know what you think. I'm going to press escape.
Blank. Screen sharing meeting controls.
All right, let me go over here.
Demo E. Whitaker at Vispero.com Outlook. Zoom Workplace. Thorium the Voyage Out. Thorium. C. Users.
All right, I'm going to talk about several things here. The next thing I want to show you is a setting that we have for automatic language detection. So if you or your students read text in documents or on web pages in other languages, JAWS depends on what we call markup. It depends on those language tags for determining what language is in use and for switching over to reading that language and the voice that is used for that language. Sometimes you will encounter situations where authors did not properly tag that content, so JAWS can't read it like it needs to. So we have created a setting called automatic language detection that uses AI to determine the language in use. And I'll show you how to turn this on. So we're going to go to Settings Center, which is Insert or Caps Lock 6 on the number row.
Add new configuration dialog.
Wait a minute, let's try that again.
Default all applications JAWS settings. C.
Let's try that again.
Add new configuration.
All right. So I'm going to press Control-Shift-D.
Add new configuration. Title is Add OK button. C. Users Whitaker OneDrive Vispero.
Okay, let's try this one more time.
JAWS settings center.
There we go. All right. Now, by default, what it usually does when you go to Settings Center is it brings up Settings Center for the application that you're in. So I'm going to press Control-Shift-D for default.
JAWS Settings Center Default All Applications.
Okay. Now, the setting that we are looking for, I'm going to type in Detect.
Title is JAWS Settings Center Default All Applications. Piece
I'm not getting my search box here.
JAWS Settings Center Default All App. Tree View. Search box.
Okay, here we go. Detect language.
Detect keyboard language.
All right, now it's going to give us a few things. So again, insert or caps lock 6 on the number row. And then I pressed Control-Shift-D for default. I'm here in a search box. I typed detect language, and now I can down arrow.
For search results list box. Detect keyboard language checked.
All right, I don't need that one. I'll do it again, down arrow.
Language processing. Text processing. Detect language based on AI predictions. Language processing. Text processing.
Okay, what it's reading here is detect language is the setting name, but it's reading us the setting, which is for using AI predictions, which is how I have it set. That's actually the setting you want. Now, I also read the categories that this is in Settings Center, which is text processing and language processing. But you can change the setting. We'll cycle through the available settings here using the space bar.
Off. 4 of 4.
Okay, off.
Based on markup of document and web page. 1 of 4.
All right, based on markup of document and web page. That's usually what, if people are using this feature or this setting, that's usually what it's set on, because you're depending on the tags, those language tags on the web page or document being there. However,
Based on text vocalizer expressive only. Based on AI predictions. 3 of 4.
if you press the space bar until you get to based on AI predictions, that's the one you want. Then you'll press Alt-A to apply the setting, and then we'll tab to OK. Now, as we press tab here,
Read only edit. This group of radio buttons allows you to configure automatic language detection. This feature works with synthesizers, such as Eloquence or Vocalizer.
so here it's going to read us some information about what this setting is, or what this actual option is. And so you can use your arrow keys to read that,
OK button.
or you can tab to OK and press enter.
C. Users.
All right, so that's how you change the auto detect, or the automatic language detection feature. So once again, we pressed insert or caps lock 6 on the number row. That took us to Settings Center. Control-Shift-D allows us to change the default settings. And then in the search box, we just typed in detect language, pressed down arrow until we got to the detect language setting, and pressed space until you get to the setting that says using AI predictions. You press Alt-A to apply your settings, tab to OK, and press enter. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is how to navigate ePub books. So let's go over here to our book.
Screen sharing. Demo E. Whitaker at Vispera. Zoom Workplace. Thorium The Voyage Out.
All right.
Thorium The Voyage Out. Heading level 2.
Now I'm using an app here, that an ePub reader called Thorium, Thorium. There are several ePub readers. This one is accessible, so I chose this one. Now, of course, ePub books are widely used for textbooks and a lot of other books as well. But we can navigate them like we can web pages. There's a lot of web page navigation going on here. So when we released JAWS 2025, we added some options for navigation to make navigation easier. So I just wanted to show you a few of the ways we can do that. So I'm going to press the letter H to navigate by heading.
Main content heading level 2.
Now we hear a lot of things. We hear main content, and we hear heading level 2. I'm just going to keep pressing H.
Chapter 3 heading level 1.
So chapter 3 is what I have open, and we could read this text here.
Early next morning there was a sound as of chains being drawn roughly overhead.
And I can actually search this text, Control F, Foxtrot, that brings up find, and you could search the text. Another thing that you can now do is navigate by region. I'm going to go back to the top of the page with Control Home.
Thorium.
And I like this because regions are something that we probably don't talk enough about, because they are widely used on web pages. And so you have certain regions on web pages that contain, you know, specific information. So for example, I can press the letter R
Toolbar navigation region.
and it said toolbar navigation region. So this lets me know that there's going to be, in this region, there will be some navigation options. And if I down arrow,
List of 2 items nesting level 1. Back to bookshelf button.
there's a button that says back to bookshelf.
Information button collapsed has pop-up dialog.
And there is an information button. So, from there I can press R again.
Main content main region.
That said main region. So that's going to be, if we down arrow, we're going to be able to read our chapter.
Wrapping to top.
And so forth. Now, I could also press Q.
Main content main region.
To go to that main region. All right, so here are a couple of things to know about ePub books. As you're navigating, so all ePub books are not created the same. Some of them do include page numbers. And so for those that do have actual page numbers, you can press dash and navigate by page. And so it would say the page number. You'd hear Josh say that. This particular book, I did have trouble finding one that had page numbers. So this one doesn't, but you can press dash. You also may find that in other ePub books that there are more regions. So there are, other features that other books may have that will make navigating, these keyboard commands will make navigating those books easier because there's a lot there. So, but again, you can just navigate these like a web page. So we're using our quick navigation commands in JAWS. I'm just using H for heading, R for region. I can use B for button.
Skip to content button. Back to bookshelf button.
And there's back to bookshelf. Now, of course, this is within the app. All apps may be different, but this one seems to be very JAWS friendly. If we open the app, we can import books, and then they'll all be here. So we can go back to our bookshelf and look at the books and search for books and things like that. So I just wanted to make you aware of those navigation commands, and
Hey,
they're
Liz, I don't want to
yes.
interrupt. We actually just had somebody ask if you could make your screen a little bit bigger. I don't
Oh,
know if there's a
absolutely.
way for
I'm
that.
sorry about that.
Context menu. Leaving menus. Thorium the voyage out page.
All right, did that help?
A little bit. Let's see. Karen, can you tell us if you can see that now, or do you think you want that a little bit bigger?
Yeah, I tried maximizing that.
Okay, yes, that's good.
Is that good? Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. All right, so those are the navigation commands that we have added for ePub. And I'm going to talk about this here in just a few minutes about where you can go to get more information, but you can actually get all of these commands that I'm talking about and the information from our What's New pages. So we'll go there in just a little bit. I want to show you where to find that information. All right. So let's go ahead and close
Thorium. Toolbar
this.
region. Main content main region. Thorium. C. Users who would.
All right. So the final two things that I want to show you are some things a couple of enhancements that we have made in the December update to Convenient OCR and Picture Smart AI. And let's make sure
Menu bar. Leaving menus. C. Pie chart. LinkedIn screenshot.
Okay. So Convenient OCR is a feature that's been around for a while, and this is a feature that allows you to get the text from a picture, an image file that contains text, but because it's an image, JAWS can't readily read that text. So you might have a photo like this one that I'm about to show you, for example, is a screenshot. And there's text there, but if we were to just open this photo, we would not be able to readily read it. Another example of this would be an inaccessible PDF. And so Convenient OCR has been around for a while, but we've just added a new command and a couple of neat new features that are going to really enhance the experience when we need to know as JAWS users what text is on the screen. So the first thing I want to show you is a command that we have added. It's our all-in-one command. So Convenient OCR is what we call a layered command. We press Insert or Caps Lock Space to enter the command layer. And I'll show you that. We hear that click sound. We press O for Convenient OCR.
OCR.
And then we can press a number of different commands depending on what it is we're trying to do. Now I'm going to press question mark, which is going to give us a list of available commands within the convenient OCR layer here.
The following commands are available in the OCR layer.
All right. So it gives us a lot of commands here, and these are great commands. For example, you can press R if you want to OCR something directly to Microsoft Word, or you can press D if you're in an accessible PDF and you want it to OCR that document. And what it does is it uses optical character recognition, or OCR, to extract that text, and it places it in what we call the results viewer. So this is where you'd go to get a list of those commands. I'm going to press escape.
Link edit.
But we added this all in one command, which is insert space O and then enter. And what this does is it recognizes the context that you're in. It recognizes that either you have maybe an image open that has text, or it recognizes maybe there's a PowerPoint slide, or even in Zoom. If somebody is sharing content in Zoom, maybe a PowerPoint presentation, you could use this command to read the information they are sharing. And so I'm going to go ahead and use this here on this screenshot. Let's make sure we're still on the screenshot.
Link edit screenshot.png.
Okay. So I'm going to press insert space O,
OCR.
then enter. And when I do this, we don't have to, this is a great command because we don't have to remember all those other commands. Not that you shouldn't use them or can't use them, but it's going to recognize where you are.
Document OCR started. Page is right side up.
It's going to OCR this document.
Finished. See blank screen.
Okay, so it said finished, and now we can down arrow.
PC cursor.
Let's try that again.
Title
Something
is
happened.
Screen sharing meeting controls.
Oh,
Link edit screenshot OCR results.
There
Link
we
edit
go.
link. The Center on Disabilities at CSU and Assistive Technology Conference starts tomorrow. Our team is in Anaheim getting ready for an exciting conference.
All right, so I could continue reading this text. Somehow my focus had changed. I just pressed Alt-Tab to get back over to it. And so we're in the results viewer, so we can just read this information.
Us in the exhibit hall in Vespero booth 503 are at one of our sessions in Platinum 5.
And let's say this, I didn't know what this file was. I wanted to find out what it was. I could get that information. And if I wanted to save it, for example, I could copy and paste it, or I could just tab a couple of times here.
Open in Word ... same page link.
And I could press enter and open it in Word and then save it. So I'm going to press escape to get out of the results viewer.
Link edit screenshot.
And so that's how that works. Insert space or caps lock space, followed by O, followed by enter. Now, another thing this does is when you're on, for example, if you're, let's say you're on a YouTube video and there's text, maybe there's no narration, but there's text, it's constantly changing. If you perform this command, insert space O, then enter, it's going to run a new feature that we've just added called background OCR. So it's going to be performing OCR in the background as that text is changing. It's going to provide it there for you in the results viewer. You can also turn that on by pressing insert space O, then B. And when you're done, if you're actually running it as background OCR, you're going to press insert space O, then Q to quit. So I just wanted to mention that we are actually going to create some training. We're going to be talking more about that here in the coming weeks. But, for time constraints today, I just wanted to show you how the new command worked. And again, all of this is on our What's New page. So if you're wanting to know what these commands are, you can look them up there. But this is useful whether you're on a file in File Explorer, in an image file, you have it open on your screen, on Zoom or Teams and someone is sharing content, or in a YouTube video. So those are just some of the ways you can use it. All right, the other thing I want to show you is a new Picture Smart AI enhancement. So I'm going to go over here to my email.
Screen sharing meeting demo Whitaker at Vispero. Meal for attachment.
All right. I have an email here with an attachment. Now I'm going to open this email, but let's say I want to know what this attachment is before I actually save or open it. So I'm going to enter to open. By the way, I am using Outlook Classic.
Enter.
Just wanted to point that out.
Elizabeth Whitaker.
All right, so I'm going to navigate up here to this attachment.
Link add in screenshot.png 2 megabytes 1 of 1 attachment.
All right, so I know it's a screenshot because that's what it's called, and it's a PNG file, so it's a picture. So I'm going to press Insert Space,
Space.
P for Picture Smart,
Picture Smart.
and Enter. So just like the OCR command, this is also an all-in-one command. Insert Space, P, Enter.
P. Picture Smart is in progress.
And now let's get a description of this attachment. Let's see what it comes back with here.
The image shows a LinkedIn post by Vispero. At the top, there are photos from the CSUN Assistive Technology Conference, featuring people sitting in a conference room and speakers at a podium. Below, logos for Enhanced Vision, Freedom Scientific, Optelec, and TPGI appear, indicating Vispero's brands. At
All right, so, it's always interesting. We got the text extracted there from when we had the same file in File Explorer, and now we're getting a description of this image. So you can use both Convenient OCR and PictureSmart AI to get a lot of information. And so this would tell me what this attachment was, and I could make a decision about whether I wanted to save it, open it, or maybe where I want to save it, where I want to put it. So when I'm finished, I can press Escape.
link add in screenshot.p.
All right. So those are the features that I wanted to talk about. Now, if you want to know more, or if you want to download JAWS, ZoomText or Fusion 2025, if you want to update that just came out today, if you want to know more, you can go to freedomscientific.com and you can navigate to the heading that says software releases. And under that heading, there are links for JAWS, Fusion, and ZoomText. Those links will take you to the What's New pages. And so that's where you're going to learn all about the new features and enhancements, all those keyboard commands that I just talked about, and all of those different features. And from there, you could download the software. Or if you already have 2025, you can go to help and software updates from your software. So I just wanted to let you know where to go to get more information about all of these features. All right, with that, I'm going to
Demo E. Whitaker at C. Use screen sharing meeting screen.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and I see if you guys have any questions. All right, and I think we have one more polling question here as well. All right. All right, are we still answering the poll here?
Oops, somehow I got muted.
Oh,
Technical difficulties. So we are not answering the poll here anymore. We've ended the
okay.
poll. And the question was, what version of JAWS, ZoomText, or Fusion are you running? And about 41% of people are on 2025. We have about 26% of people who are running 2024. Nobody said that they were still on 2023, but we did have about 18% say that they're using an earlier version, and we have about 15% that said that it is not applicable to them.
All right.
All right. And I know that you gave a little bit of your information for afterwards, but of course, we always want to open up this for questions. I know that we had a question in the chat, so I will share that for you.
Okay.
But if there are any other questions along the way, that I would love you guys to post that in the chat. Okay, so somebody asked, does Thorium, the ePub reader you demonstrated, allow for annotation, the ability to add notes to test for study? If not, have you had any experience with one which does accessibly?
That is a really good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I will find out. And if you can send me an email to training@vispero.com, I will get that answer for you. Because that's a great question. I haven't delved into it that deeply yet, but I can see where that would be those are essential features, I would think, very useful features.
Awesome. We have another question asking, saying that this is really great, and they want to know if the update is available now. Their home computer just told them that they have the latest update and did not get the December one yet.
Okay. The answer is yes, it is available today. Just may not have pushed it out yet, or maybe sometimes if you restart JAWS, it will go ahead and let you know. So you might try restarting it and see if it does, but sometimes it takes a couple of hours for it to do that.
Okay. We have another user who wants to know if Arabic is supported.
Yes.
Okay. And we have somebody else who wants to know if Sharky is still active, and they've gone to the utilities menu in JAWS and have found Sharky to be unavailable.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is actually still active. But if you're having issues with that, you might reach out to support@vispero.com. And you can also reach out to us at training@vispero.com. We'll be happy to help you out there.
Awesome. Any more questions, guys? Do you have any comments for Liz about the webinar? What were your favorite features of the new update? We want to know.
Absolutely.
Liz, what are your favorite features of the new update?
Oh, that's hard. Of course, I really like FS Companion. I think that is just a great feature for even for anyone who's used JAWS for a long time. If sometimes you just don't remember a keyboard command or, even steps for performing something in Word or Excel or something like that. But I also think that the OCR and Picture Smart AI features are great, and I'm just excited about all of the new AI features and, where we're going to be able to go with this.
Okay. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I think I like Picture Smart AI. I thought that was a really cool tool, even for somebody who's low vision. So, we also have a new question now, and Rick wants to know, how is Sharky different from FS Companion?
Great question. So Sharky and Zoomy are our assistants, right? They're our assistants in JAWS and ZoomText, and they're not full AI assistants. For example, you can say Sharky open setting center, or Sharky what time is it, or Zoomy, you can ask it. Zoomy is for ZoomText, Sharky is for JAWS. And so um they are not going to tell you how to perform specific tasks, and they're not going to dictate, you can't dictate text or anything like that, but you can ask them specific questions. And of course, we're always building out, that feature. We're continuing to build that out as well and add more things to it. But that's more for things that you can do. For example, I'll go back to the Open Settings Center command that you can give it. And our voice assistant allows you to ask it questions so that you don't necessarily have to use that keyboard command. So instead of reaching up and pressing, insert 6 on the number row, you can just ask it to open voice assistant. And so that is what voice assistant does. Now, FS Companion is your full AI tool where you can go out and ask it questions about how to perform a task, what a specific keyboard command is, and you can actually have a conversation.
Okay. And we also have another question. It has, I think, more to do with updates, but this person said that they can't install updates without administrator rights. And they said that it's really challenging for their PC at work. And they wanted to know if there's any sort of workaround for that.
That would be dependent on how your employer has things set up. That would be something you might want to talk to them about that. I don't know, if they would be able to give you those administrator rights or if they would not allow that. Um, but if you want to know more about that, we do have an enterprise page on our training page. So if you want to know more about that and that information, send us an email to training@vispero.com. But that would be completely, again, that would be completely up to your employer.
Okay, and we also have another question about thorium, and they want to know if it's accessible for magnification users because they couldn't see all of the components when you were navigating.
Okay. That was probably because I needed to maximize. I apologize for that. I thought I had it maximized. Um, but yeah, it should be. It should be. I haven't, I don't use ZoomText, but I can have someone try it out and make sure, but it should be because it's certainly accessible with the screen reader.
Awesome. Well, right now we don't have any more questions in the chat. If you guys have any last minute things to add in, I'll leave it open for another minute. Otherwise, we're really excited that you took part in this webinar. Oh, we have another one. Okay. What is the advantage and disadvantages? I'm assuming that you're talking about thorium because that's what we just ended on. So, Liz, are there any advantages and disadvantages?
I really don't know. I'm not sure. Is that question about thorium or is that about updating or not updating? I'm not sure what that question is related to. For thorium, I mean, I would say it is accessible. You can navigate and you can, oh, it's fairly straightforward to import those ePub books. But I haven't really used a lot of ePub readers, so I can't speak to others. But as far as updating versus not updating, I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but I'll just touch on this for a second. Um, if you're able to update, I would highly recommend it because as you update, you're able to use different tools and all the latest Windows updates, Microsoft updates, other app updates. And so, as all of these app developers update their applications, we're constantly updating ours. And so if you have the latest version of JAWS, ZoomText, or Fusion, you're going to have the latest features for one thing, and you're also going to be able to take advantage of the latest features and all of the updates from Windows and all the other apps that you use.
Awesome. That was a really good explanation. I always find it's great to keep your softwares updated as everything is updating itself. Otherwise, your computer just doesn't function the way that you want it to. So
Absolutely. Yep.
awesome. So somebody posted to update or not to update. That is the question. That is right. Exactly. So I would say to update, but if you're not one of those people and you don't really love it, you don't have to. All right. So everybody, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate Liz for her time today in explaining some of the new updates for 2025. We're hoping that you're looking forward to these updates as much as we are. And if you don't have them, go and get them and test them out. If you have any comments or questions, of course, you can email Liz. As she did provide an email that you could email her at. So training@vispero.com, but there are also some other ways to get in contact with Liz. So thanks, Liz, for joining us, and we hope that all of you guys have a great rest of your day and rest of the week. Thanks. Bye.
Absolutely. Thank you.